Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Shani Lee Show. So as you can tell from the title of this video, the point is to try to find my first 5-star read of 2024. You can see my ratings here. It's between like somewhere in the 2-star range up to 4.75 stars. There is one 5-star book, but that was The Hobbit, which was a reread for me, and so I'm not really counting that as my first official 5-star. And as I've mentioned, I think not in the most recent reading vlog, the video right before this, in previous reading vlogs, I've mentioned how I've been in a bit of a reading funk, a reading slump. My earring is kind of backwards. I want to read, I can read, but it's just, I'm not finding books that I'm really loving, and there are some books that I've really liked, but nothing that I've really been wowed by recently or have loved recently. Hopefully, I do find my first 5-star book of 2024 within this video, and hopefully this video is nothing but 5-star books, because I'm going to be focusing on my physical bookshelf and books that I've been wanting to read for a while. Certain books that I am 99% sure I'll love, but I've been putting off for whatever reason. And I'm starting off this video with Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim. Elizabeth Lim has quickly become an auto-buy author for me, and I loved her Six Crimson Cranes duology. I still need to read Spin the Dawn, but I also read one of her Twisted Tale books, Disney Twisted Tales, When You Wish Upon a Star, which I loved, and I'm not a big Pinocchio fan. And the fact that I loved that says a lot about her writing style and just the fact that I love it so much. So hopefully Her Radiant Curse will be 5 stars. I'm really hoping it is. And something else I'm trying to do on Storygraph is mark the books that I own when I'm reading them, or when I start reading them, mark them as owned. Because something else I'm trying to do this year is read more from the library and utilize Libby more. Because as much as I love going to the bookstore, picking up books that I find really pretty or have really good synopses, as much as that brings me a lot of like in the moment serotonin, unless it's an auto-buy author like Elizabeth Lim or another author I'll be reading later in this video, unless it's an auto-buy author, I really want to try reading the books first before I go out to try to find them at a bookstore or on Amazon or on other book-selling websites. Because with the space that I have the one bookshelf, which has been seen on my TikTok a lot and my Instagram and on here occasionally. So I have that bookshelf, and then I have a second 360 rotating bookshelf. So I don't have a whole lot of space. I could make space and I can organize my books as best as possible to create more space, but honestly it's like there's only so much space that I can do that with. So I'm really hoping to start, as I've said quite a few times now, utilizing Libby more so that I can focus more on getting books that I love already and that I've read already, and getting authors as well that I know I'll enjoy their books. But with all that said, let's move on to the reading portion of this video. Okay, so I have a couple of reading updates. First one is that I listened to The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. I'm not sure how to say the last name. I listened to this as an audiobook. It was 2 hours long. It's poetry. Something I also wanted to try to do this year is read more outside of my typical genres and try genres that I haven't really dipped into really, and poetry was one of those genres. So I tried it. I did enjoy it. It was just okay for me. I don't know if poetry poetry is like a genre that's for me. I rated it 3 stars because, again, it was interesting. There were a lot of interesting topics. It just wasn't drawing me in. It was very much middle of the ground for me. Again, as I said, probably because poetry just isn't my thing. Second update is that I read The Remarried Empress Volume 5, and this did end up being a 5 stars for me, which I kind of expected because the first 4 volumes were also 5-star ratings for me, 5-star reads. So it was only natural that this one was also a 5 stars. I mean, I guess that's not necessarily natural, but with where the story is right now, with where I'm at, it was natural and things are still holding up strong. I'm only half counting this as like my first 5-star just because I was 100% expecting this to be a 5-star rating. I knew it was going to hold that ground and I knew it wasn't going to disappoint. Whereas like the other books that I'm trying to read in this vlog, it's more of like 85 to 90% certainty, whereas this one was like, yes, this is going to be 5 stars. So a little bit of an update for Her Radiant Curse. I am at chapter 7, 70 pages in, and I'm really loving it so far. Part of me wants to say it's a little bit slow right now, but at the same time, I think that's a good pacing given where we're at in the book and in the story. So I'm not that far in. I'm okay with it feeling a little slower right now, especially because I'm expecting things to start picking up soon. So that is my update for right now. Hopefully Her Radiant Curse is another 5-star read for me because given Elizabeth Lim's other books, fingers crossed it's 5 stars, or at least in the high 4-star range. So, a bit of a reading update. I am still working through Her Radiant Curse right now. I am 221 pages in, and I just opened the book and I didn't look at what chapter I was. I'm at chapter 23, basically halfway through. I'm really enjoying this so far, and I definitely think it'll be a 5-star read. So, I'm really happy with where this is going. I'm really loving it. It's going really well. I'm happy I decided to read it because I think I'm getting back into a nice reading groove because of it, because I'm reading books that I know I'll enjoy in this video. But I will be taking a little bit of a break from Her Radiant Curse just for a little bit of time because it has been raining a lot here in Southern California, which is why I've included so many raining clips in this video, because it's been raining so much and I'm trying to take advantage of that a little bit. And I felt like I needed a little bit of a rainy day watch and a rainy day read that kind of correlated. So I decided to pick up Inuyasha, the Viz Big edition, Omnibus edition, volume 3, and I'm also going to be watching Inuyasha as well. I'm going to be a little further ahead in the anime. I wanted something that kind of correlated, and I've been wanting to watch Inuyasha. I've been meaning to catch up with the Viz Big editions that I have, so perfect timing, perfect day. I'm in the mood for it because of the rain. It's that time of the month again. Okay, my February. My February choice is on top, and as you saw in my last reading blog, I think, sort of saw, I got The Fox Wife, which is a historical fantasy. The first add-on that I got was Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. The second add-on that I got is Clytemnestra by Costanza Cassati. These are the options I got. I don't know if I said this in my last reading vlog. I was expecting a lot more romance for the February choices, considering that it's February and Valentine's Day is right around the corner. Well, it's already happened by the time of this video's up. So it's time for another reading update, and I have 4 books to talk about, 3 of which I've read, 1 of which I'm currently reading. So first up, I'm going to talk about 2 books in one. I did end up, when I was doing my Inuyasha watch, I did end up finishing both Viz Big Editions Volume 3 and 4 of Inuyasha. And when I tracked these on Storygraph, as you saw, I did count both the individual volumes and the Viz Big Editions. That's mainly because, at least for these Inuyasha Omnibus editions, they do tell you what volumes are included, and they do also differentiate between the volumes included. So volume 7, 8, 9 in this one, 10, 11, 12 in this one. A good counter example would be Fruits Basket, those omnibus collector's editions. I'm pretty sure they don't differentiate between like the individual novels that Fruits Basket was originally published in. So with that, when I get around to doing a reread of Fruits Basket, I would only be including the collector's editions. But as I said, because these ones do differentiate between the different volumes within the different individual smaller volumes within the bigger omnibus volumes, I do differentiate between those, and I include both the individual volumes and this. However, on the flip side, if I was just reading the individual volumes of these, I wouldn't include the omnibus editions. If you're one who wouldn't include the individual volumes when you're reading these Viz Big or any omnibus editions of a manga or a book, that's totally fine. It's just the way I do it. I just put the Inuyasha Viz Big editions back, but for both of those, I think I gave them 4.5 or 4.75 stars out of 5. I enjoyed the story. It was just, I think a large part of it, as I'm pretty sure I've said before on my channel, is that I've already watched Inuyasha so many times. I've been watching it since my preteen years. I know the story inside and out, and there are some minor changes that the anime did and that the anime didn't keep that the manga has in it. I did still really enjoy the story. The third and final book that I have to update about that I've read and have loved is Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim. I gave this 5 stars, as I hoped I would and expected I would. This story was just so beautifully told and crafted. I don't really know how to describe it. Everything about it was perfect in and of itself, I think, for me. And I loved the story. I loved the characters. Everything was fleshed out so well. And the ending was so sweet too. I was about to say that I kind of wished we got this before Six Crimson Cranes, because Elizabeth Lim did say that she had been planning out the story before Six Crimson Cranes. So there's a small part of me that wishes that we did get this book before Six Crimson Cranes, but at the same time, I think it really works being published after Six Crimson Cranes and reading it after. And then last but not least, I've started reading The Disappearance of Astrid Bricard by Natasha Lester. I only read the prologue and chapter 1 so far, but I 100% feel like this is going to be a 5 stars. I've had this feeling since Natasha Lester announced this book, since I pre-ordered it, since it arrived in the mail. I've had this feeling that this book is going to be a 5 stars for me. I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy I'm finally getting to it, because I kept putting it off because I was like, I want to wait for a good time to read it, but now is as good a time as any to read it. So this is going to be my last update of this video, mainly because I've read the books that I intended to read for this video and more. So this is my final update. In a way, I'm kind of saving the best for last, sort of, in a way. Okay, to start off with what I am currently reading, I have started The Watchmaker of Filigree Street. For a while, I was reading it as The Witchmaker of Filigree Street, which is why it initially caught my attention. But then I realized it was The Watchmaker of Filigree Street. It's interesting so far. It's a little bit slow paced, so I'm not sure if I'm going to DNF it or not. I'm kind of toying with that idea though. I'm trying to wait before DNFing, not DNFing it until I'm about 25% of the way through. So we'll see how it goes. As for what I've read, starting off with the manga I read, Yashahime, Volume 4, and I really enjoyed this. This was a 5-star read for me. I'm really loving this story. I just need to watch the anime now. I also read Persephone, the first volume in the Lost Goddesses series by Alyssa Thorne, and I absolutely loved it. I have loved all of Alyssa Thorne's other books that I've read so far, which includes the God's Universe series, and I also read her Fake Kings trilogy, which I really enjoyed. So Persephone was a really good reintroduction back into the God's Universe, and I really loved reading about Persephone and reading some more of her journey. And Hades is so precious. I really want Hades to cook for me. That's not gonna happen. And then I also reread Valentine's Day by Carly Spade. I reread it. It is the Valentine's Day novello featuring Eros and Alani from Eros in the Contemporary Mythos series. And this is a really sweet novella, just showing more of their relationship and what they do together and some of their other interpersonal relationships with some of the others. And then last but not least, I finished The Disappearance of Astrid Bricard by Natasha Lester. My review for this, my little review for this, is up on my Instagram page, which I will link down below in the description, and I absolutely loved this story, which is not a surprise because I knew I was gonna love it, and I'm really happy I finally read it because it was about time that I read it. Let me know what some of your 5-star reads have been for 2024 so far down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.